running down the dream that would never come to me, working on mystery, watching Breakfast with Bob.
Pacho Man! Woo! Welcome back, day 4, Breakfast with Bob. We were brought to you by EAS, Myoplex, Polar, Hoka, One, Velo Fix, Norma Tech, Four Seasons, Hualalai, Amio Power Breather. Our next guest, Mr. Matt Hanson, 3-time Ironman champion, 2-time Ironman 70.3 challenges. How you doing, Matt?
Doing great. Thanks for having me this year.
Oh, thanks. And so you're from Iowa.
I am in Iowa, yes.
The hotbed of triathlon.
The hotbed, yes. Yes, I pretty much train alone, but that's all right.
So you still live there?
Yeah, yep. I'm actually originally from Minnesota.
Yes.
But, yeah.
You moved to somewhere more popular, where
Yeah,
triathlon was bigger in Iowa.
Yeah. Triathlon's a little bit bigger in Iowa.
So you were mentioning 50 challenges is what got you into this craziness. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I was 16, I was at a wrestling camp up at the University of Minnesota, and one of my mentors that was there challenged me to make a list of 50 goals to do in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I kept that piece of paper around for the next 10 years of life, and when I was 25, I looked at the piece of paper and I said, well, I have one more I can still go after. So I signed up for Ironman Coeur dAlene.
So really, at that point, you had never done a triathlon?
No, never. I ran a little bit in high school, and then
but you wrestled.
My primary sport was wrestling. I was always lifting weights like a wrestler. Always, that's what everything was geared towards. And I didn't, to this day, I don't know why I put to do an Ironman triathlon on that list, but I did. And so at 25, I was working on my master's degree. I bought a bike off of eBay that I wouldn't be seen on at all now. I would be embarrassed. Probably ate ramen noodles for a month to try to afford that bike. I tried to teach myself how to what I called swimming at the time. Yes. And showed up to Coeur dAlene.
And as a wrestler, what did you wrestle at? What weight?
I wrestled at the end of high school and into college. I wrestled 140.
Okay, so it's not like you had to go lose weight to do this.
I was a little bit bigger then. I had some discernible muscle mass on my body. I was lifting weights like a wrestler, but once I started more on the endurance side of things, that changed a little bit.
How'd you do at that first Ironman Coeur dAlene?
It went pretty well. I ended up qualifying for Kona.
So first time out, was that your first triathlon?
I had done one sprint before, but it was like one of those, you swim in a pool. Yeah. So I'd done a couple races like that, but nothing major. I was definitely shell-shocked when I got to Coeur dAlene.
I bet you were shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Well, but you came away from that qualifying for Kona.
I did.
And you figured, what the heck? Right?
Then, you had to go. I planned on being a one and done. At that time, I'd finished my master's, was working on my doctorate. So
in what?
In education. So until I went full time as a pro, I was in charge of the exercise science department at Buena Vista University in Storm Lake. So that was where I went to undergrad. That's what brought me to Storm Lake, and I went away, got a couple other degrees, and came back.
And how did you do first time here?
Actually, it was good. I would think I was about 4 minutes slower than my time at Coeur dAlene, which I think I was all right with.
Absolutely.
I biked a little bit better and learned what the heat and humidity can do to you on the run. I was a couple minutes slower on the run. I think that year I ran like a 3:07.
So 3:07, your second time doing an Ironman.
Yes.
So obviously you've got a little talent for this. And right away, did you feel like, all right, I'm going to pursue this?
When I left the island the first time, I knew that it was a hobby, that I was going to, I was just like, I can do more, I have more to give. And so the next year I decided I should probably figure out what racing is like and do a few more triathlons. And so I did primarily 70.3s. And then, so my third year in the sport, I set a goal to be good enough to earn a pro card. And I never planned on taking it, but I wanted to earn it. And I did that at Ironman Texas, my first race of the year. Had a pretty good day. I think I went 9 flat. And so I qualified.
As an age grouper?
As an age grouper, yeah. So qualified for my elite license there. That goal was done. So that was my year-long goal, and it was done by May. So it was like, okay, what next? And it was, I want to win my age group here at Kona.
Right.
And was super fit, really happy with how I had a build leading into the race, and got here and I had 3 flats. So I was sitting at the side of the road for about 20 minutes waiting for some help. I always carried 2 flat kits at the time, so the third one I had quite a long wait to get some help. I think I ended up at like a 9:03 still.
Still 9:03, even with 3 flats.
I ran a 2:51 then, or 2:52, I think. And that's when I decided that I was going to take my pro card, not because I thought I could be a great pro, but if I took my pro card, I could go race Arizona in a few more weeks and really test my fitness and see if it was where I thought it was.
Now, did you do 4 Ironman in your first year as a pro?
I did 5.
5.
My first 2 years, I think I did 5.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And so basically, I better really learn this stuff by doing a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I wasn't that great at the 70.3 distance yet. My swim was a little bit too far behind to be able to catch up. I was kind of known at that point as a runner who also did triathlon.
Yes.
My first year as a pro, I ran a couple 241s, and so it was just, I was constantly playing catch up. And so I just wanted to get as much race experience as I could. The first year I ended up grabbing a win at Chattanooga, which was my 5th Ironman.
Was that your first Ironman win?
That was my first Ironman win, which was a great day. It's such an addicting feeling, crossing the finish line, grabbing the banner, and meeting your wife, who's obviously sacrificed so much to allow me to chase this dream. There's not much of a better feeling to see your wife when everything goes great.
Exactly. And I remember I was in Texas when, I think it was 15, when you won the North American Championships there.
Yes. First, that was a really big win for me.
Huge.
I don't think many people had given me much of a shot for that race. My coach and coaches at that time and I knew what fitness we had, and it was just go. At that point, to steal the baseball mentality, I was swinging for doubles. I thought that if I just swang to have a good solid contact, put
get
together
a 4th
a great
or
plan.
5th, that's fine.
Yeah, and every now and then when you bring out your double swing, you hit a home run, and that's kind of what happened that day. I tried to just have a really consistent and conservative day, and then got to the run, and I felt really good, so I went for it. I ran really hard the first 10 miles, grabbed the lead around the midway point of the run, and then was able to hold on.
8:07.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And
so that brought you back here.
That brought me here, yep, in 2015 that year.
That was a crash year.
That was a crash year. Wasn't the best day, wasn't the day I was hoping for, but you look back at those experiences, and now I can realize that those make the days like 2015, 2017 at Texas so much more worthwhile, or so much more enjoyable, because that you're going to have highs and lows in the sport, and if you only had highs, you'd take them for granted, and that's something that I'll never do again. That's
and
for
you
sure.
won Ironman North American Championships again this year.
I did.
Yeah.
This year was a super fast day. We caught some great conditions. I couldn't have drawn up the weather to better suit me. It was calm water for the swim. I had the best swim of my career at that point. I came out completely alone, which isn't ideal, but I was smack in the middle between the first and the second pack, so I was able to bridge up on my own. And then when some of the big riders in the second pack came on, I was able to
stay with the group.
To stay with.
Wow, so you're in the front pack, which I'm sure they weren't very happy with.
No,
they know you're a 2:41 marathoner with them coming off the bike.
Yeah, and I actually went to the front of the bike pretty early in the second loop, so just after the halfway point, and Croy was talking a little bit that sometimes it's fun to surprise people a little bit. So
yes.
I was feeling good, so I went to the front and tried to make the group hurt a little bit. We were able to whittle the group down a little bit. A few other guys started to do the same thing, but I ended up coming off the bike in 4th, which at that point I was pretty
ecstatic.
Yeah, I was pretty set.
Yeah, and so you run your way to win.
Yeah, and there was a lot of I can't remember how. I think there was 8 guys that ran under 250 that day, and 7 maybe that were under 8 hours. So it was a fast day. The course was fast, but the competition was great. And when you get so many guys together that start the run, it makes for a fast
It's
day.
fun, huh?
Yeah, and I had about a minute lead off of those guys off the bike, and I was getting splits, and it never changed. I'm like, I'm running hard. This is not supposed to happen.
That was a deep field this year.
So yeah, it was, and
That's
and
North
it was,
American Championships.
and that's what championships should be. I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, no
I
question.
don't, obviously it's fun to go and see, somebody go and just crush a course, but I think spectators benefit more from watching people really turn themselves inside out and go all the way to the finish.
7:52:44 course record.
Yes, yeah, we'll take it.
And then Coeur d'Alene 70.3, 351. That's impressive.
Yeah, that was a good day as well.
Yeah. So, will this be your first time as a pro, hopefully finishing this race?
That's the plan. Yeah, we're not going to have any repeats of 15 this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, so that's a mulligan.
Yeah,
15 is a mulligan
Yeah,
because you crashed in the first 5 miles of the ride.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you're here. You've done this race as an age grouper.
Yep.
Does this race play out well for you? I mean, when you're a 241 marathoner, any race plays out well for you.
Yeah, when you're a runner in the sport, you're never out of it.
Right.
But there's so many dynamics. There's so many different ways that this race can play out. A lot will be dictated in the first 2 minutes of the swim,
right?
When the packs form, and that'll determine a lot of how I have to race. I think I've worked really hard this year on the swim and the bike especially, and I don't. There's a lot of scenarios that can go, but some of them, having to run a 240 is the fastest way for me to get to the finish line. Others maybe sacrificing a little bit on the run to work hard to stay with some people on the bike might be the better route to go. So we'll just have to make some game time decisions.
I love the fact that this really was sort of like a bet, right? You had a list, and it was like, oh, I better do this Ironman thing, and look what it's led to.
Yeah, I mean, goals are something that's always been really important to me. My dad taught me that early on in life. I've had some good mentors that kept me on task with them, and just helped me set realistic but challenging goals. And it's always, I've always kind of struggled a little bit when you get a goal really quickly. Then what? And after you have this lull, it's almost like a lot of people want to do their first Ironman, and they do it, and you can Google the phrase the post Ironman blues. So many people experience that. It's just having another goal in mind. Is as soon as you get that first one done, get it, or even if you don't get to where you want to, just taking the time to set whatever's next, and that kind of guides the direction that you want to go.
I'm imagining, because of what happened in 15, the goal this year is let's just see a finish line. Let's just.
That's goal number one.
Yes.
I don't really set place goals ever. I don't race really well like that. I do best when I have a plan that I want to execute. So, I definitely have places that I want to be at. No one wants to leave the money without a paycheck, or leave the island without a paycheck. But at the start of the gun, it's all about process goals, and that's what I focus on every step of the way, is just executing and sticking to the process that Coach Julie and I set for the day.
Wait, who's your coach?
Julie Dibens.
Oh, you're with Julie Dibens.
Yep, I'm with Coach Dibs.
Oh, nice. She's
I've
great.
been with her just over a year now.
And what has she brought to the game for you?
It's been a really, really good experience working with her. She's taught me how to race like a pro, which is definitely something I didn't have. I come from an exercise science background. I've had some good mentors in the past that taught me quite a bit about training and things like that. When I moved to working with Julie, she's really taught me a lot more about dynamics and on how the race is going to. She's been there,
Right.
She's. I don't have the same skill set that she did. She's a swim biker, and I'm not yet. She'll get me there. But that's also one of the reasons that I went with her as well, is the swim bike background. I knew that she can help me improve in both, and she has.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of got the running down.
Yeah, usually, every day, every now and then there's a bad day in there, but hopefully that's not Saturday.
Love it. Hey, Matt, thanks so much for taking time.
Thank you very much.
Matt Hanson has been our guest. Round of applause for Mr. Matt Hanson. And Pancho Man, take us out.
Running down the dream would never come for me. Working on mystery, watching Breakfast with Bob.
And Pancho Man.
Got it.